number of years ago, I spoke. I probably have told you. When you get old, you don't remember what stories you've told and what you haven't. I spoke at our General Assembly of our denomination. And Frank Barker's wife had a dance troupe. And they danced for us before I spoke. And you say, oh, that's nice. Well, that's because you don't understand Reformed people. Frank looked back over this gigantic auditorium and he said, I'm in serious trouble. And I said, I'll fix it. So I got up and said, wasn't that wonderful? And you could see it in their eyes. They didn't think that was wonderful at all. One does not worship with dancing. Dancing is not something that one can do decently and in order. And they were really angry. And I said, well, I asked God, and he liked it. And nobody laughed. And needless to say, my sermon didn't go very well. After it was over, this young man in a three-piece suit came up to me and said, Dr. Brown, what you said grieves my heart. He was an elder. And I said, son, we're in Birmingham, Alabama. We're part of one of the smallest denominations in the world. There's nothing here big enough to grieve your heart. And he said, you don't want to hear from a fellow elder the truth? And I said, no. But if you be honest, I'll listen. He said, I think you're arrogant and you're rude and you're prideful. And I said, you have no idea how right that is, but I'm better than I used to be. And then he loosened his tie. And we walked out on the porch of that big church and sat down, and for over an hour we talked. Reminded me because as a result of that particular incident, 2 elders in Texas brought me up on charges. I know. And then they wrote an article in one of their magazines that was very critical of me. And I'm good with words. You don't want to debate me. I'm not smart, but I'm glib, and I can talk. And I was getting ready to devastate them in what they wrote because a lot of it was lies. And one of my students said, Dr. Brown, don't you understand that they just want somebody to know they're alive, to recognize them, to not demean them, to not put them down? Why don't you try reaching out and loving them and see what happens? So I wrote the head of the magazine. I said, I'm going to respond to what you wrote, but only if you print exactly what I write without changing it. And he said, I won't change it. And I spoke words of love and affirmation. This is not my nature. And I was kind and I was civil. And did you know the next book he wrote, he asked me to write the introduction. We don't get many standing ovations, but remember, they're hungry. They need a friend. They need somebody who will love them.